One episode wasn't enough with John Broadbent. So guess what? He's going to come back for a second episode. We're going to talk about some new additions. We'll talk about Dev Camp a little bit, talk about those players departed and more on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah. Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, or TLOPN. I'm your host, Jason Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for over a decade, and this episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So just to give a little background, because I didn't last time, I'm currently the public address voice for the Coachella Valley Firebirds, have been covering hockey for over a decade, and have also contributed to a certain website that is led by none other than John Broadbent, our guest extraordinaire once again. John Broadbent from Defend the Nest. Twitter is at Defend the Nest SD, and you're back. John, how's it going?
Good. Very good. It's been so long since I've seen you.
I know it's been so long, right? It's been a whole day. All right. Shall we get right into it?
Does that mean I'm unlucky number 13 now?
Yeah. Episode number 913.
This is gonna be a cursed episode. Okay.
So you are the Nestorenko episode. Let's do.
We're just gonna go through all the players that have number 13.
Okay.
You're probably better at this game than me.
Zegras.
Yeah, he did.
For San Diego, he was 13.
Oh, Solani. How can we forget about Solani for like 10 minutes? Didn't that Russian dude have one?
I was going with Gulls players that wore number 13.
Oh, my bad. We're just gonna go through history.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other Gulls players that had 13.
Just Nestorenko and Zegras. I feel like I'm forgetting someone, and my apologies to the Gulls players if I do forget.
I find, you know what I find it hilarious. You
know who else? How can I forget? My favorite Duck, Troy Terry.
Huh? Really?
Ward number 13 instead. Do you not remember that?
Don't remember that.
Troy Terry, Ward number 13 in San Diego.
To be fair, he wasn't there very long.
I know, but gosh, how could I forget? Apologies to Troy Terry.
Did they just give that number to the players that don't stay long? That possibly.
It is possible, or players that they think could make the NHL roster.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to figure out their jersey number theory for all these years now. I'm like, what? Why? What? You traded one guy and then the new guy takes his number straight away. What, do you not have enough?
Part of its choice.
And surely surely they choose other numbers, like, I want my number from Junior, or something like that.
Ducks players that have worn 13.
I do find it hilarious that through all of their existence, nobody's had number 69, though the Ducks have had that in Dev Camp all the time as an assigned roster number as well. But no 69 in San Diego.
Nope. Not nice. Okay, so we were talking about additions last podcast, and we didn't get into the rookie additions. No. And there's quite a few rookie additions. So I don't know if there's any that you want to talk about just off the bat. I mean, there's got to be one or two names that you got to mention right now.
Well, yeah, just like I said in the last episode, but definitely excited for Sidorov. Goal scoring machine. So much fun to watch. And pretty much I'm looking forward to him the most of the season. So I'll be deeply disappointed if he, again, becomes like a Minchikov and ends up with the Ducks for the whole season. And in terms of other rookie forwards, the only one we didn't get to see at the end of last season, other than Sidorov, was Petrie. Am I saying that right, Petrie? Or
yeah.
Petrie? Yeah, because I read it as Petrie.
Petra. Yeah.
Petra. Oh.
Yeah.
We got to see Majovic, and looks like he'll be back. How did he look in Dev Camp, by the way?
So actually, we can segue right into that, I guess, right now. So Petra, I thought was pretty impressive in dev camp. Has definitely worked on speed a little bit. Um, had some pretty good shots in general, and did a good job of getting pucks out of the neutral zone and transition play. Transition play I thought was pretty impressive for him. So that's a player that I liked. Now I need to go into my notes. I did take notes, folks.
Well, just commenting on that. I mean, so I've got him slotted on the fourth line because he seems like a two-way forward.
Yeah.
With some
And
offensive upside.
Just as you said that, so I actually pulled up my notes. So, as we mentioned on the previous podcast, the Ducks and the Gulls, they're seeming to take more of a path on defensive awareness and getting better two-way players, more stoppers. It's no surprise that both the Ducks and the Gulls were just getting walked all over. I mean, we'll go back to 2 years ago. The Ducks still have the record for the most shots allowed in one season. Ugh. Sorry. Blech. Yeah, the Ducks have that record. John, that record is not going to get broken. It's not. They allowed on average 39 shots a game. Blech. That's how bad it was. No one's going to break that record.
Essentially,
and the Gulls,
John Gibson.
Yeah, they did. And the Gulls, they allowed something like 35, 36 shots per game. A double. So I do So I do appreciate the fact that there is a direction, like a very noticeable direction that the team is going towards. And that is getting more two-way players, preventing rushes, preventing those long transition passes. And I think that's what I have for Petra is he is aware on the transition. He's very aware on the neutral zone. So I would like to see him on the fourth line. I'd like to see him become a solid depth piece. And maybe that fourth line could be the stopper line.
And I have a weird crush on two-way players like Anton Moran. RIP. Miss that guy so much. And so, Petre and also Majdovic, like from what I saw of him end of last season, seemed to be a relentless forechecker, big lanky kid. But he used his reach and body to like close down gaps, pretty much roll up on defensive forwards and defensemen with speed and create turnovers down low. So excited to see more of that. But that's just the forwards, really.
Just to kind of continue on that, because I know you probably have your lineup right in front of you. Before we talk about the subtractions, what do you have as your bottom six right now on your lineup?
Bottom six is Majdovic, Lapina, and Maya. That's the third line. And then fourth line, Howe, Misak, and Petre. So that's very tentative. It's only really just fitting in guys that play whatever side and whatever position. I know Misak and Majdovic actually developed some sort of a little bit of chemistry towards the end there.
Especially Mishak towards the end of the season is he was getting a lot more play on special teams, by the way. That's what I noticed is there's now more confidence in his special teams ability. So I liked seeing that from San Diego towards the end of the season, which again is just it's a good jumping off point for next season if they can continue that.
But speaking of special teams, so that works for the PK. But now you're making me consider this and go, who plays? Because before the veterans that have left, who's on the power play?
See, these are things that we think about. These are the things that I think about. I think about the macro sometimes, like who would fit in the power play. But because defense was such a hole recently, I have to think about who's going to slot in on the kill.
Yeah, well, that's spoken for.
I know the Ducks really focus on that on the draft as well. And just to go back into Ducks talk really fast, that's partially why they drafted guys like Stian Solberg, who I know you would love to see in San Diego, but I think it's going to wind up being too good. I could see Solberg playing a few games in San Diego before going up to the Ducks. Solberg, to me, is one of the best play stoppers in the draft. who's also got a bit of a violent streak to him. Like he will hit guys left and right. He is not afraid to give a big hit, but also just one of the best play killers in transition. We saw this a lot during dev camp. We saw this on highlight reels, and he's totally a Greg Cronin, Pat Verbeek kind of player. So he will do well in Anaheim. But
Yeah, it's not going to be till next year though. He's going to Sweden.
Yeah, exactly. So when he comes next season, it's going to be really curious if he makes the roster outright and if he spends a few games in San Diego, because that's what the Ducks have done in the past.
I would see him spending at least a year in the AHL. Depends on how Gudis is going, because he's essentially the replacement for Radko Gudis. So
yeah,
they'll try to develop him up. And if Radko Gudis all of a sudden breaks in the next 2 years, then they'll have to accelerate that development and push him in there faster.
Yeah, and as far as development's concerned, I could see the Zellweger path where he might be a black ace for. Actually, I could really see that this season, this black coming season.
Yeah,
black ace end of the season, and if the Gulls can make any kind of run towards the end of the season, that could be a really valuable black ace to have up your sleeve towards the end of the season.
Because the SHL does finish a lot
early.
Sooner.
It does.
Even sooner than the CHL, doesn't it? I think it's like
correct
couple weeks beforehand.
Yeah.
And they've got that weird playoff format where it's like wild cards and stuff like that. But yeah.
But I mean, we've seen this in the past. We've seen this in the recent past. Look, the Ducks do love their Swedes. And I mean, they love their Scandinavians in general. But I could see Solberg being like the ultimate black ace if he happens to end his season right away. You never know.
Yeah, that's exciting to think of. I'm not even thinking of the black aces.
Yeah, you didn't think about that, did you?
No, I'm too excited about what we got coming up. I'm not even thinking about the end of season.
You see where my mind goes sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh shit, we'd have a lot to choose from at the end of this season.
Oh, we do, but that's going to be a future podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on to the defenseman.
Yeah. No. We're going to head into the break right now because I'm up against it again because I like to do that. I know, silly me. So we're going to head into the first break. We'll have some defenseman talk. I'll talk about dev camp stuff more on the other side. And now a brief word from everyone's favorite eBay Motors. We're talking about passion, drive, and patience. Patience underlined, guys. That's the formula for winning championships. And also it keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and much more. Whether you're into speed, power like Solberg, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning car rubber, not hockey puck rubber, and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home the big wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. That's U.S., not Kiwis.
You read that really well. It's as if you like read stuff for hockey or something.
Yeah, it's like I read stuff off a script. Anyway.
It's like a job.
Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, joined once again by John Broadbent on episode number Trevor Zegras, Nikita Nesterenko, 913. No, I kid. No, not Trevor Zegras. He's not number 9. Who was number 9?
Number 9 for the Gulls?
For the Gulls last year.
Last year.
I'm forgetting. He was 9 or 19. He was 19. Anyway, we're forgetting our numbers here. But welcome back to episode number 913 of Locked On. And we're just silly and having fun here. But also just trying to give some perspective on next season for the Gulls and a little bit of the Ducks as well. But let's talk about defensemen because that's where we left off, right?
Yes.
All right.
So newbies coming in. all I have is Tristan Leno and Noah Warren. Yeah, and that's again back to the previous episode we had debate on whether or not Leno gets. So yeah, like I agree what you're saying. It's either going to be Helson or Leno that's up with the Ducks because they will need a right side. But I stand by my statement of that blood thing he had seems like a big deal to come back from. I think it makes more sense to ease him back via the AHL first.
I mean, from all accounts, he looks like he's going to be ready to go for this coming season. I mean, the conventional thought was that he was going to come back last season. That did not happen, to allow him that additional rest and allow him that additional recovery. And from all indications, he will be 100% and good to go starting next season. So with that being said, I don't know who's going to make the Ducks out of that. This might be one of the biggest battles for making the Ducks defense this season.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a big time battle, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like where all the drafting and prospects of the last few seasons are all coming together at once now. And that's not just counting the ones that have just been drafted. But they've been very defenseman focused on their last few drafts, it feels like. Ironically.
Yeah.
this year's one was supposed to be the defensive heavy one. But yeah.
Yeah, because here's who I have. My top line for the Ducks. I have Fowler and Minchikov. That makes sense, right?
Yep.
Second line, well, the bottom four, there's a lot of combinations here. You could go Brian Dumoulin, who they just picked up from the Kraken, Radko Gudas, Jackson Lacombe, who just got re-signed, Olin Zellweger. If one of those guys gets hurt, who do you have out of Helleson, Luno, Warren? Who could you see cracking the lineup out of those three?
Helleson, but also, don't the Ducks have a couple more in depth?
Oh, Vakanainen. I forgot about Vax.
Yeah, Vax. There's a couple more.
Oh, that's tough. Let's see. I got Tyson Hines, who's going to wind up in San Diego.
Yeah.
But no, that's it.
Oh, really? So they lost a bunch as well.
Yeah, they did.
So they lost those waiver pickups like Lidstrom and
yep. Lindstrom is gone.
The Swedish guy that used to play for the Condors. What that guy's name?
Yeah, also gone.
Yeah. Okay. So all they have left over from that is Vax, essentially.
Yep.
Okay. It's funny because I think I had this debate with somebody on Twitter the other day where they had Luno slotted in as the center defenseman. I was like, well, they're not going to stunt his development by getting him to sit in the press box every game. And he said, I forgot about that.
And I think that's where you're probably going to see some guys getting switched around. Like they might have Luno up, they might have Warren up for a little bit as a seventh defenseman. They could call him up for a few games as well. Also think about that. They don't necessarily have to play their 10 games right away or their 9 games right away. So I could see that being a big case for this coming season. I could see Luno playing fewer than 10 games. I could see Warren playing fewer than 10 games. Of course, it also depends on how they do in training camp. We saw that last season. Could they impress so much during rookie camp, during the rookie showcase out in El Segundo? Could they impress enough on training camp? Could they impress enough on the preseason games? All big questions, right?
Yeah, and there's always somebody that serves as the token I-5 plus back and forth. So I wonder who that's going to be this season.
Yeah. So that's pretty much...
Last season it was Hag.
Yeah, so it's pretty much it for the defenseman, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's it. I mean...
but out of development camp, you know who did impress me a little bit on development camp that I do want to talk about for a hot minute is Terrence Smith. So Terrence Smith was kind of a late round pick. There's a bit that I like about his game. So he did go a little bit later in the draft than most people thought. The skating could still use some work, but overall, just another great transition player. That's something that the Ducks are also focusing on. They're not just focusing on better defense, but they're also trying to work on getting guys that are good on the transition, good on puck movement. That was a big problem for the Ducks and the Gulls, for that matter, as well. Is they get the puck. This is PTSD time. Sorry, John, but you might remember this. There were often times
They couldn't get
Were
out.
the Ducks or the Gulls, they could not get out of their own defensive zone. They would get the puck from behind the net, try to move up. Their opponents, in particular the Firebirds, were very good at this. They'd have a good forecheck, steal the puck from the Gulls' own defensive end, and score the other way. Or they would try to bring the puck up, get it to the neutral zone, and not do anything, or they would just dump and change. Didn't they do that a whole lot last season at times?
Yes, they did. Yep, there was minimal to no transition. And sorry, just because you're talking about the draft, I had to just bring up my draft article just because I was trying to remember. Terrence Smith to me and one other player. I'm just trying to bring him up now. It wasn't Marseille. It was
Maxime
Blaise.
Marseille, I thought was what?
Blaise. So Terrence Smith and Alexandre Blaise both stood out to me as the going against the grain kind of picks that they made because everybody else was huge, early, strong. Well, I guess except for Bennett, but well, no, he's tall. And Blaise was probably my favorite pick because he seems like a little rocket.
Yes, he is. He is.
So yeah. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, so this kind of transitions into like just quick development camp talk for a hot second. A lot of the picks that the Ducks made this year, I thought have looked good so far. They've played the part as having solid all-around play on development or rookie development camp. One of those other guys that I really liked for development camp, you're a fan of his, Jackson Weeb. Weeb, so he still has a really good snapshot in general. The speed is looking better this year than it was last year. The puck awareness was superb. That's also looked better this season. So what do you remember about Jackson Weeb from last season?
It's actually very accurate that you mentioned the skating because they recently did the, what do they call it? Behind the nest or something? From the nest. From the nest,
yeah.
Which I wonder where they got that from. And they did interviews with the players, and it was actually kind of cool to hear what they said and what they've been told to work on. And the interview with Weeb did mention that he was told to work on his skating. So it's good you picked that up. And yes, I just remember being really hardworking, no nonsense, very much a Pat Verbeek style player. And I remember at a signing, I was thinking, oh, this guy seems like a, could be, couldn't be kind of thing. Like his junior numbers weren't massive. I think he was even playing as an overager at the time when they signed him. But yeah, he's just pure energy guy.
Yes.
With some upside. So that's always good to get on.
Overall, the 24 picks very much impressed me in development camp. Blaise, we talked about. Maxime Marseille was fine. You know who looked very impressive? And I just got to talk about him because we're talking development camp. Beckett Seneca. Beckett Seneca definitely undressed. I'm not going to name names, but he definitely undressed a couple of defensemen during that scrimmage.
And made it look easy?
He did. He did. What I love about his game, he's always looking up. He's always aware. There are some guys that have the tendency to just like kind of look down a little bit too much, but Seneca is always scanning, looking around, and super great patience before making either a good shot or an even better pass. So that's what I loved about his game a lot. Solberg, I mentioned. Weeb, I mentioned. Cutter Gauthier, I thought was the best player out of dev camp.
I admit that I saw some of the scrimmages. So shout out to Duck My Life for recording those because I got to see them delayed because I was working. And hey, you did a good job with the commentary. Don't hate on yourself. That was good. But was I say? Yeah, Gauthier, I don't think he was playing to his full. He was definitely easing back. He was not showboating, but also like I'm too good for this kind of thing. But not in an arrogant way.
He plays with confidence.
Yeah.
He plays like he knows he's good.
Yeah, he was like playing to help out his teammates. Essentially, he wasn't.
He wasn't
like he knew that he didn't need to impress, so he was trying to make others look better.
and yet he did impress. You know who he was on a line with that he helped look really good was Kerry Terrence.
Ah,
That's the player you're probably thinking of that you
no,
didn't
I
really.
was thinking, but no. See, we don't get
Oh,
him this year.
who are you thinking of?
Well, I thought he set up one of those tryouts. Because I remember saying, "Oh, that guy scored a bunch, and he's not even one of our draft picks." Zinger, maybe, or I forget who the other ones.
Him also, yeah. Yeah,
But
there
okay,
was
yeah.
there was a couple of guys,
So he set up Terrence a bunch. We don't get
but
Terrence till next season.
no,
Next season,
Zinger was on the opposite team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not going to talk about Zinger, but gosh, the fact that Cutter Gauthier made Kerry Terrence look that good on the ice. I mean, there was a stretch pass assist to Kerry Terrence where he undressed someone and totally just got Cali. Oh gosh, I mean,
So
poor
somebody
Cali Clang
no,
on that goal. Oh
you got
man,
you got me remembering now that Misak was on a 2-on-1 with somebody and they did like a bounce pass, and I forget who that was now, but it looked really good.
yeah,
But yeah, I was like, huh, that's pretty awesome.
yeah, but just completely got Cali Clang off his skates. Cutter Gauthier just always looking for the correct play, but making everybody look better. And I don't call it arrogance. I call it confidence.
Okay.
He's confident in his play. He's going to make the Ducks.
Oh, absolutely. No
I mean,
doubt about it.
I have that game circled off in January when the Ducks play in Philadelphia.
So
I cannot wait to hear all the F-bombs in the background of that telecast.
it
There's
is
going to be a
kind of
lot of them.
yeah, it's kind of funny how toxic they still are about it. But they just, I guess if I put myself in their shoes, we were kind of like that with Schultz for a bit. But yeah,
But not with this kind of vitriol.
no, absolutely not.
No. So we're going to head into the second intermission once again, and we're going to talk about those departed and have some parting words for this one. So we will get to all of that on the other side. Stay locked in. And now a brief word from the Game Time app. And folks, it is the dog days of summer. It is baseball time. As you know, and as you know, John, I love going to baseball games. I'm doing a double header later this week, by the way. Going to see a Dodger game and an Angel game on the same day.
What?
Yeah. And you know where I'm going to get some tickets from? The Game Time app, because they have Angels tickets for under $20. They have Angel tickets for under $10. Yeah, you can see the Dodgers Thursday afternoon, see the Angels Thursday night, and get those tickets for under $10 all in on the Game Time app. If you can believe that. Can you believe that, John?
I cannot. I cannot believe you can see 2 games in one day.
I know, right? And you can get your exclusive zone deals, flash deals, last minute tickets. You can get views from your seat, all from the comfort of the Game Time app, who also has Game Time best price guarantee. So take the guesswork out of buying baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And I will spell it once again on the bottom of the screen. Code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, that is the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back to Locked On. Thank you. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm joined once again by John Broadbent from Defend the Nest. And by the way, thanks for having me help you out last season.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Obviously, I got to see some games in person, but yeah, it's always good to contribute whenever I can.
It's very much appreciated.
And
I have actually been... Oh, sorry. Like, I have actually been approached by a guy wanting to write for me this season, but couldn't work it out because he doesn't have HLTV or season pass.
So it looks like I'll be helping out again this season.
Yes, please.
So let's finish with parting words for those that have departed the Gulls. So this is kind of our farewell, goodbye. No, goodbye, farewell, auf Wiedersehen. I'm not going to sing
Well,
more. I don't want to pay royalties.
bye. I was just thought you were going to say like bye, Felicia. Um,
Bye. Yeah.
bye, Felicia. Um, well, actually, it all started before even the free agent signing day, July 1st. We
Yeah.
had Luca Profaka left for the KHL on the 15th of June. But that's why I did not see him coming back. Though I did not know he was with the same agency as a bunch of the Ducks players. Colton
Who
White,
else? Colton White.
Glenn Gordon. So it's gonna hurt to see him with the rain. It's gonna really hurt to see him with the rain.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird to see him with the rain because
Yeah.
the rain right now have no captain.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I haven't followed that closely, but they did stack up this offseason, didn't they? They did pretty well with their
Oh, the
reload.
rain.
Yeah.
So, okay, fans of this podcast know that I'm sometimes a little bit brutally honest with teams within the same division, and I'm gonna just keep it honest. I think Ontario lost more than they gained this
Oh,
offseason.
I'd like to hear that.
So I think it's going to be very tough for the Ontario Reign to replicate what they did last season. It's going to be very tough for them to go back to the Pacific Division final this year.
Did they lose TJ Tynan?
They lost Tynan to Colorado.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So now there's talk that it could be Jacob Doty. That'd be weird. Jacob Doty being the captain of the Reign.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Glenn Gaudin he could wear an A for the Reign as well.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be really weird to see. We mentioned Trevor Carrick going to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Colton White, I forgot where he went.
To New Jersey. So basically, Gordon going to the Reign and Agazino going to Utah are the only ones that really hurt because it's within the same division.
Yeah, so Agazino will be a roadrunner.
No.
For now.
Yes.
For now.
So confusing. Yes.
I know.
I don't know what they're going to call the farm team, like the Latter-day Saints or what. Door knockers? Sorry, I'm not going to do that.
Hello.
My name is Elder.
God.
I have
the book.
I have some tickets to a game you might want to see.
Oh! There's our hockey version of the Book of Mormon. Off topic, I saw that musical and I loved it.
It's so good.
It is. It is really good.
We're going to Europe on Wednesday and we're going to go see some shows in London. Though we've both already seen that one. So it's like, what do you see when there's so many shows to see in London?
Oh gosh.
Currently I think we're going to see Sister Act and maybe like my partner really wants to see Lion King.
Oh boy, Lion King. Have you not seen Lion King in person?
Like the musical? No.
Yeah. Oh, it's probably one of my favorite musicals to watch in person.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Highly recommended. It'll make you tear up.
That's good because like we watched Britain's Got Talent and they had a thing the other night where they showed Frozen the musical like as a promo, and my partner was all into it. I'm like, no, this looks
Frozen the musical pretty good. But there's so many. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
Yeah,
here.
sorry.
We're going into
musical chat. Okay.
Welcome to Locked On Musicals.
So Gordon, Agazino hurts. Agazino particularly, actually.
Yeah.
The Roadrunners are going to be good next year.
They are. I'm very because Utah made a lot of good moves. Utah had a good draft.
They had a good draft,
which is going to trickle now. It's going to trickle down to their farm team. The Roadrunners could be scary good.
They could be.
If there is any team that could low-key take the division from the Firebirds, I think the Roadrunners could be that team.
And they've been working with not much for the past few seasons and actually doing it right. And so now they've got a proper owner.
Robert Haig. He went to Vegas.
Robert Haig went to the Vegas, yeah. So I'm not really worried about that.
So Henderson.
Yeah.
So yeah, fare thee well. I will just give my personal. So I was very honored to get to do public address for the Ducks Coyotes game, Troy
Nice,
Terry,
nice, amazing.
Troy Terry got the game tying goal. Robert Haig got the game winning goal less than a minute later. So fare thee well, Robert Haig. Got to call one of your goals.
We will miss you, even though you're quite grumpy about how you were treated, apparently.
Yeah.
And one last person who only just found out about today, Ben King.
Yep. Ben King will no longer stand by the goals. You see what I did there?
Yes, we shot at the King and we did miss.
So
I feel
he'll be going to the Manitoba Moose.
Yeah, see, this is the most so baffling. I've been replying to people saying, yeah, I don't know either. Verbeek must have really, really high standards because I don't think he did a really good season for his first year.
He did.
He was older than your average first year player, but it showed that he hit the ground running. Like he knew his game, net front presence, crashed the net.
Yep.
Should have done more of that, I guess. But I see this as another player that's gonna, we'll be talking about in a few years' time, like Mahura, where he's ended up with success, and again, it's just the Ducks cut ties too early.
I could see that happening with Ben King as well. He could sneakily be one of those players that winds up winning a cup in like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he could. So I think we're done with the partying shots, right? So
That's it.
those are our farewells. Before we head off, I want to leave the viewers with one final question. He's not departed, but he's not signed yet. We never know. Last year, there was a certain former goal who it took forever to get signed, and that was Rocco Grimaldi. Rocco Grimaldi took forever to sign with the Chicago Wolves last season. There was another year where it took him a while to sign with San Diego eventually as well. That was 2 years ago. So this year, it is Chase DeLeo who was not signed yet. There is still room. The Gulls currently only have 3 veteran players on their roster. You could have up to 5 veteran players. I think we're a little bit surprised that Chase DeLeo has not been signed yet, but that could be one of those deals that just gets done later. He is the captain of the Gulls, but just in case Chase DeLeo does not come back to San Diego, who do you see being the captain, or who do you see just in general being in that leadership role or in the leadership roles next season?
My obvious choice is Hetherington because he was the captain of Belleville last season.
Mm-hmm.
But then, Carpenter as well brings the leadership. So these are all new guys coming in, so I don't know how that plays. But Gaucher is definitely being groomed to have a leadership role as well, and that's a staple. So, yeah.
I also had Harrington on this question. I also had Gaucher, and I went the other way. Instead of Carpenter, I went McEwen. And the reason for that is because McEwen was part of that leadership group with the Milwaukee Admirals. He knows, and I think I went Hetherington McEwen because they know what it takes to lead an AHL team deep into playoff runs. And if you want someone like that on your leadership role, I think you've got to start with those 2 guys. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and back on mine is Carpenter has NHL experience, like the most of all of them. But yeah. Hopefully we don't have to just have one of these guys make it, and it is DeLeo. But if it is that, we've got some choices, I guess.
I think we've pretty much covered everything, haven't we?
Yes, I've got one more last thing to say on shout out before I go. Just remembered it. Shout out to the Gulls fans who went to see the All Blacks game in San Diego this week. I didn't actually get to see it because I think I was working. But apparently we won, which, we're playing Fiji, so probably, we did well, apparently. I see Derek Dawson went to it. Good job, mate. Hope you had a good time. And shout out to anybody else that went. Hope you had a good time. Yeah.
Since we're going to shout out at the end of the podcast, I'll shout out Samantha, who I saw at the development camp. That was that was just really awesome to see her out there on Dev Camp. And also to shout out to all the fans that I saw out at the Sphere that were on the podcast, that I saw at the Flock Party. And because I haven't given him a shout out in a while, and I know we both love him, we got to shout out Jeff.
Oh, yes. I need to update the drinking game for this season. I don't think I updated it last season. Yeah, don't forget to drink whenever you see Jeff on TV.
So for those that don't remember, Jeff Bush, he is a gentleman that wears the Gulls hat and is one of the people that likes to lead on the chants of 1, 2, 3, 4. It's all your fault. You suck.
You suck.
Yeah. So he likes to lead those chants a little bit. So just got to give a shout out to Jeff on the podcast because I haven't in a while. So Jeff, if you're listening or watching, big shout out to you, buddy. And also, I'm also going to shout out Jeff because he came to the Firebirds playoffs after the Gulls were eliminated. So he was there during the regular season. But he came to the playoffs.
That's so cool.
And let me know and gave his support. And
you had a lot of celebrities come to your playoffs. My mate Johnny came and said hi, apparently.
I think what I just love is just the support in general from just like the hockey fans that, come out to like the Gulls games, the Rain games, but also the fans from San Diego just in general that just wanted to see playoff hockey. And I'd get a message like, hey, I'm here. And they would come to the box. Johnny came to the box. So just getting the support from the Gulls fans that wanted to see playoff hockey in SoCal, that was really cool. So I salute all the fans that came out. You guys are all awesome.
Hopefully it's us next year.
I have it next season. How fun would it be to have a Gulls Rain playoff again next season?
Oh, and yes. Well, hopefully we don't have to do let's do the 5-game playoff series. Let's get to one of those playoff positions, not the 3. Yeah.
Anyway, before I let you go, tell the fine folks where they can find your work, where they can find you online and all that jazz. So, John, take it away.
Please do come to defendthenest.com. That is defend the nest, DEFEND, the nest.com, where I've been keeping things updated like the movements of the off-season. If you scroll down the page, there's a tentative roster of how things look, layout as such. I even have a page dedicated to incoming prospects. You can see when they're going to join. Then on the same page, it explains how and when prospects can join the AHL because it's different for different leagues.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really thought out.
NHL draft recap. And if there's anything you would like me to write about, just let me know because I do try to keep track of things. Still, my highest ranking page, or one of them, is the hottest NHL coaches article that I did, which I will do again this season, I promise. I was going to do one last season for the AHL coaches, but decided that they're all too young and they're not hot to me. So if you don't understand that, it's because I prefer older gentlemen. So I will do it again this season because there's been a lot of coaching changes, as always. So, yes, and you can follow me on Defend the Nest SD on X, formerly Twitter. X sounds like a porn site, but, we roll off that. Defend the Nest SD on Twitter /X, not PornTube, whatever it is. You won't find me there. And sometimes you'll find JD's fine work on my site too, because I have a new career. If you see me say, I'm sorry I couldn't cover today, it's because I was flying. That's because I'm a flight attendant now. So, yeah, that's what that means.
That's where I'll step in. I was drinking water. Anyway, you could find me on Twitter X at StimpyJD. The show's Twitter X is at LO_Ducks. You could find me on Twitter. You could find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. We're ad-free on Amazon. We're also apparently on Sirius XM now. So check us out there. Let's see. You can follow me or you can email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. You can also find me checking out Gulls games, Ducks games, also public address for the Firebirds. So, John, once again, thanks so much for coming on, and hopefully one of those flights could be to SoCal to check out some games.
You're very
at some
welcome.
point.
Not this year, but next year. Yes. Yep.
Or try to work it out for the All-Star game that this coming. I know you can't, but
Where is it?
Coachella Valley.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah. What about the NHL one? Where's that one? Or
There is no NHL All-Star game.
Oh, okay.
It's the Four Nations tournament.
Oh, sorry. I should know
So
that.
AHL has the only All-Star game at Coachella Valley.
Ooh,
I know.
Well done.
Yeah, so we're well over time. But once again, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it, buddy. On behalf of John and myself for Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason Hernandez saying have a great rest of the day, folks. Please remember to be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Ducks and Gulls fly together.
Bye.
Caw-caw, caw-caw.